It is Tuesday, June 22nd. We are here. We are doing it. We're going to talk about operations. It's going to be a blast. I have Ash with me. It's going to be a great time. We're just going to have people trickle in, and then we will get started with our fun little presentation. How's your Tuesday going, Ash?
It's going pretty good. Had a nice workout early this morning.
Oh, I
Good
love
way to
that.
start your day.
Seriously, that's like the best way to start the day.
Hey, Nina.
I always like switch off. Hey, Nina. Good morning. Cool. Well, maybe we'll give people to 12:02. Watch them trickle in.
Maybe they're grabbing some lunch or some
Maybe
snacks.
they're grabbing some lunch. Exactly. I could go for lunch. That's what I'll do after this. Do your kids eat early or later than you usually?
It depends on the morning. Yeah. Depends on how early they wake up. If they're up at 6, they're hungry at 7. If they're up at 7, they're at school by 7:30.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's funny. Cool. All right. I see some more folks joining. Awesome. We'll kick it off in maybe a minute or two. Just, we had a long weekend, so I feel like everyone had a long weekend. So we're trickling back in to working, rewiring our brain.
For sure.
Nice. All right, cool. All right, let's hop on in. So I'm going to share my screen and we'll get going. All right. Welcome, everyone, to, I think this is our third or fourth installment of Not Another High-Level Conceptual Webinar. So today we're going to be talking about operations, integrations, data flows, all that fun stuff. We've been to so many webinars in the last year or so we really wanted to bring you a different variation of webinars where we bring you tangible takeaways that you can implement yourself the day that you see these webinars. So that is what this webinar series is all about. I am Sarah Payan. I am the Senior Marketing Manager of Customer Engagement here at Alyce. From 5 to 9, I love a good true crime podcast. I also love a good audiobook. I've been getting back into those. Very active, love boxing, yoga, and soccer, and I'm the middle sister of 3 girls. And joining us today as a special guest, we have Ash Lojko, who is our Director of Solutions. I know Ash is also a big active person. We had a call today and she had just finished a bar class. So any fitness people out there, we are one and the same. So this is why we're here today. Your marketing and sales team decided to buy a gifting tool. And generally speaking, direct mail and corporate gifting has been a pain to not only implement and get started, but also to measure and operationalize, especially when it's one of those quote unquote sales-led or marketing-led sales executed kinds of channels that can either lead to amazing results or more problems than it solves. And operationally speaking, direct mail tracking and ROI measurement is a nightmare. Your prospects' inboxes will look like this with messages from your team trying to figure out if the gift was delivered or not. You're trying to integrate like a USPS, FedEx API into Salesforce to understand just if the gift has landed in the right place or not. And not to mention, once people have opted out, they're not ever able to be contacted again, which skews the ROI of your direct mail efforts by losing contacts to follow up with. And so that's money and that's time wasted on your part. But even if you do get through and that gift does land on someone's desk, those touches, those gifts are starting to be impersonal and hard to measure in terms of ROI because they're generic, they're one-to-many, they're mostly ending up in the trash. There's absolutely no governance. There's a low response rate and it's super labor intensive. As operations folks or as the budget holder or project manager, you'll need to know exactly how gifting can fit into all moments in the customer lifecycle, how it'll integrate into each of your team's workflows, and how it'll actually drive ROI instead of just ending up in the trash. And so we're not saying don't do direct mail or gifting, right? That would be like kind of besides the point. But what we're talking about is kind of changing the approach or finding a new suite of tools that can help, because it's the approach that's broken. It's not necessarily the channel that's actually broken. So in this webinar, we're going to walk you through implementing gifting, specifically Alyce, in your marketing, BDR, and AE workflows and systems so that your data flow is pushing to the right platforms at the right time to influence the activities that your teams are already performing. So let's dive right on into it. When we talk about operationalizing your gifting program, we're talking about the entire process from choosing the right accounts, the right context, the right technology, the right KPIs. Your entire program should be operationalized in a way where it's fully integrated with the rest of your marketing and sales function. Otherwise, it'll never work, you know? So before we get into the actual systems, when we think about the program execution of gifting, it's absolutely a cross-functional effort. This can't just exist in a silo to be fully the best it can be. So we're going to walk through each of these steps today to understand how each team is involved in and sets the next team up for success. So starting with demand gen, you should be helping your BDR team identify the right contacts and uploading them into Alyce. So that's first things first. You take those contacts, upload them into Alyce. From there, the BDR team is going to get notified once those contacts are done being researched and the gifts are ready. It's at that point the contacts are also created in Outreach through the integration as well. So BDRs are responsible for sending those gifts and then following up with the gifts until the gift is accepted and the meeting is booked. Once the opportunity is qualified and created in Salesforce, it can be reported on as influencer source pipeline. And obviously, everyone's systems are going to be a little bit different, but this is the general workflow that we see working best at a high level from a responsibility perspective, like breaking down who is actually responsible for what, so that you can kind of visualize the whole process before you even get started sending a gift. So let's start from the beginning of that process. So let's talk about finding the right contacts. I know a lot of us are using gifting in our ABM efforts or leveraging intent tools to help prioritize accounts, contacts, activities, all of that fun stuff. You want to use that same logic that you're using for lead scoring or behavior scoring for choosing the right contacts that you want to send a gift to. Understanding who has the highest level of intent at your tier 1 accounts, whether that's determined through your intent provider or your contact or behavior scoring activities, those people should be first on your list to be engaged from a gifting perspective. Those are high value, high intent accounts that you want to engage with a high value activity. Sure, you can send them an email, but if you have a priority 1 contact in a purchase stage and you just send them an email when you have gifting at your fingertips, it's making those off the cuff decisions that can really help bring that account in as a customer because you've made a really great impact with your gifting. So as you go down the list, the intent and the tier of accounts gets lower. You'll want to spend fewer resources at engaging these folks at their stage in the buyer's journey because you'll have automation, ads, nurture, content that can help bring their behavior score up and their priority up. But also those low intent accounts and those low value accounts don't ever need to be sent a gift. And so helping your BDRs prioritize and understand those lead scoring methods will help make sure that you get the right gifts in front of the right people at the right time. So now we're going to talk about once you've let the BDRs know, hey, this contact is ready to be engaged with a gift. And we're going to use Outreach as our sales engagement example at the moment because we have a direct integration with them. SalesLoft is coming soon, however. So when we're thinking about what the workflow will look like for the BDR sending a gift and making sure that everything is set up and good to go in Outreach, there are a few steps to make sure that they're enabled. So One, your demand gen team is going to help determine the contacts that should be receiving a gift. We just covered that. Step 2 is then the demand gen team should work closely with the BDR manager to set up alerts and tasks for the BDR team so that they know when to send a gift and can automatically kick off a follow-up sequence with the gift link once that gift has been sent. So once you send a gift, it's not out in the ether, never to be found again. There is a custom link that's associated with that gift that the BDRs can use in their outreach. So even if you don't have Outreach, the tool, you can still snag that gift link and pop it into Gmail, Salesloft, Outreach, Outlook, whatever tool that your sales team currently uses for sales engagement. So that's just a fun little pro tip. But sending up those triggers to let the BDRs know to kick off the gift and to kick off their follow-up sequence. Once the gift is created in Alyce, the contact is pushed and created in Outreach as well. So your BDR doesn't have to double up on their work. So once those triggers in Outreach are created based off of Alyce events, just so that your BDRs are also understanding where in the customer journey your prospects are, your BDR team will get a notification task in Outreach. Then they'll be able to hop into Alyce or use the Chrome extension directly in Outreach to send the gift. So you will see on the timeline of the contact that a gift for Michael Keller has been created, and that's how that contact was created in Outreach. So then once the gift has been sent, you can use Outreach triggers to kick off sequences for follow-up. So you can set up different sequences for gifts that haven't been viewed versus gifts that have been viewed but not accepted, and even gifts that were accepted and follow up until the day that the meeting was actually held. So by creating those different sequences, you can create a really custom experience, and you have insight into those gifts that you wouldn't have in traditional direct mail. So you know if someone's viewed the gift, even if they haven't accepted it. If something lands on your desk like that, it's harder to measure. So this digital nature of the product is really insightful so that your follow-up is a little bit more tactical and actually more personalized. So we actually have also follow-up email sequence templates that we can share with you as a resource in the follow-up from this webinar as well. And lastly, as an aside, you'll be able to see the timeline of gifts sent to this contact, similar to gift history that you can see in the Alyce dashboard itself. So this will give the BDR visibility into whether this contact has engaged with any other sales or marketing campaigns in the past that included gifting. And so our account managers are actually using this strategy in their outreach right now. And what they'll do is they'll look on the contact record to see if anyone has been gifted before, especially for those kind of expansion and upsell conversations. And if they haven't, that's when they know to send a gift because they know it'll have the biggest impact. They'll be experiencing Alyce for the first time versus someone who has received a gift before. They know how it works and they know sort of what that workflow looks like as a recipient, but it's a way where they can tailor their messaging as well. So I know you haven't been gifted before, this is what it looks like. Or I know you have been gifted before, like we invite you to receive this gift in exchange for a meeting with different copy, obviously, but that's sort of the gist of it. So once things happen in outreach and a meeting has been booked, we kind of pull ourselves out of outreach and we drop ourselves into our CRM. And in this example, we're going to use Salesforce. That is our main CRM that we see a lot of our customers using. And so you'll also be able to see like follow-up activity in Salesforce if you're passing outreach activity into Salesforce. What you won't be able to see is the status of the gift unless you integrate Alyce with Salesforce. So let's talk about what things look like from a data flow perspective once a gift has been sent and has started to be followed up with from Salesforce. But also what happens if your BDRs like don't live in a sales engagement tool, but instead they live in Salesforce. Like here's the TLDR, the overview of exactly what the workflow looks like from start to finish in Salesforce. So let's start from the beginning. Once again, say your BDRs don't use a sales engagement tool, they use Salesforce to help power their outreach. So Demand Gen has just submitted all of the contacts that your rep should be reaching out to into Alyce for research, and the gift options are now ready. So you can create reports for each of your reps to see which contacts in their names have gifts ready, and your reps can send gifts directly from Salesforce as well. This report is actually templated. It comes with our Salesforce integration that is in the Salesforce App Exchange. So getting a report like this stood up is super, super easy and gives high visibility into which reps are sending gifts from Salesforce or not, and which reps are not sending gifts from Salesforce, because you'll be able to see and you'll be able to put SLAs on when the gift options are ready, when you should be sending those gifts. With the Salesforce integration, you can always, you are also able to see the gift history on the contact record. So similar to what we talked about in Outreach, you can see the previous gifts that a contact was sent and the status of that gift, as well as the campaign it was associated with. So you can kind of see whether the gift was expired or whether the gift was accepted or exchanged or donated. This is really good visibility to understand how this prospect has previously interacted with gifting campaigns from your company. So you can see if they are someone like this contact where all of these gifts have been expired. So this contact does not accept gifts. Maybe we need to try another outreach option for this specific contact to really try and break through the noise for them. You can also see here up at the top, if you don't want to use those reports to prioritize which contacts need to be gifted, you can also send an Alyce gift directly from the contact record in Salesforce. So now the gifts have been sent. Our other reports that we recommend creating for gift management and tracking that come with our Salesforce integration are invitations that are sent but not viewed, and then invitations that are viewed but not accepted. So this will help you see from a high level how your contacts are moving through the gifting funnel. If you're seeing a lot of contacts who are being sent invitations but not viewing them, this could be an indication that you need to adjust your follow-up strategy, or that your contact selection strategy needs to be adjusted because these contacts aren't familiar enough with your brand to be able to see an email from your team and want to open it and view that link, or the copy just needs to be adjusted. So this is really good insight to see, like, funnel stage by funnel stage, how your gifts are being accepted or not from the contacts that are being sent. So this is a gift with contacts report type. Or you can create a gifts with lead report type as well if you use contacts or if you use leads in Salesforce. So once you see these responses come through, you can also see how your Alyce campaigns are performing in Salesforce campaigns as well. So you can set the gift statuses you want to track as the responded status in a Salesforce campaign, and track how many gifts are being accepted or how many gifts are being viewed if you want to tag that as the responded response, and what the success rate of your gifting campaigns is. So whether you want to see it on a contact level or you want to see it on a campaign level, because it's integrated into a larger kind of marketing or sales strategy, you have that visibility when you connect to the Salesforce integration. And so that's where I want to stop for Salesforce at the moment. We're going to go deeper into reporting later on in the conversation, but the last system I want to talk about is Marketo. So we're kind of gonna go back to the beginning once again to see how this flow looks like from a Marketo perspective. There's a lot that can happen pre, during, and post gifting that can be connected to Marketo. So I wanted to mention this as a system at the end here. So you can use Marketo to help create your list of target contacts for outreach using their lead engagement scores. You can create and pass gift statuses to Marketo so that you can create your own automated gift reminder emails. That gives you a little bit of an added control over the branding that your prospects will see when they interact with your gifting campaigns. And you can leverage Alyce Activate to send gifts at scale, so on a one-to-many basis. We're not going to focus too much on Alyce Activate today, but if you're interested in that, we did do a full webinar on all the different kinds of campaigns you can run with Activate, and I can share that in the follow-up email as well. But first, let's kind of talk about campaign management and ROI, team visibility, and personal and relevant campaigns. So let's dive into lead scoring, because this can be done to determine the contact list for gifting, and or Alyce gifts can be an interesting moment added to a contact after they view or accept a gift. So you can use any of the 7 gift statuses synced to Marketo to integrate with your marketing lead scoring, so they can impact one another. If you want to pull a smart list of contacts that have a specific lead score, have interacted with a specific campaign, export that and upload that into Alyce as your initial kickoff for your BDRs to send gifts to. That works as well. And then you can make sure that Alyce gifting in general, viewing a gift, accepting a gift, adds to a lead's behavior score. So that also pushes them to be a higher and higher level priority in that like prioritization pyramid of your contacts. With those same gift statuses, you also have more control on the marketing side of things when it comes to follow-up and gift reminders for the gifts that are sent. Now, you don't have to take full responsibility away from the sales team to follow up with the gift recipient. So if marketing wants to own this whole process of sending the gift and following up, you can have a more branded look and feel to your gift follow-up emails. The gift invitation link is an object on contacts, so you can replicate the reminder emails that are auto-sent from Alyce to the gift recipients to remind them that they have a gift waiting for them. Otherwise, those gift recipients will receive an email from like gifting@alyce.com, whereas instead you could have your follow-up emails, your 30 and 90-day reminder emails come from an email that's branded to your brand. So all of this is possible to replicate with the data that's passed over from Alyce to Marketo within that integration. And I mentioned those 7 gift statuses. So these are the 7 gift statuses. So you have gift invitation created. So that's just a little reminder to kick off that BDR workflow now. Gift invitation in fulfillment. So that's a gift has been fulfilled. A gift invitation was sent. So someone was either sent an email or a physical invitation. The gift invitation was delivered, so it landed on their desk or it landed in their inbox. Then a gift invitation was viewed, so they went to the custom gift landing page to see the gift, but they didn't take any action from that page. Then you have the gift invitation was accepted, declined, or expired. You'll be able to see and you can expect to see these milestones as interesting moments in Marketo. So you have insight into these 7 activities. You can choose to sync as many over as you'd like, but we do have these 7 as the options. So simply put, we want to talk about follow-up, we want to talk about reporting, and we want to talk about sort of like the ideal workflow. So let's talk first about outreach. We'll go in order of outreach, Salesforce, Marketo, just like we did going over like the gift sending workflow. So when you're looking to report on your team's activities with gifting, in outreach, you'll want to use their task reporting. So gifting will fall under these other tasks, but you'll be able to see how the follow-up emails perform if your BDR or sales team chooses outreach for your follow-up. You'll be able to see performance, sentiment, how many emails are being sent, as well as how many other tasks, aka gifts, are being sent, and how many of those tasks are being completed. So you can always download this report within outreach to get a better understanding of rep by rep, BDR by BDR, how are my BDRs actually completing the tasks that we stood up for them in outreach. So that's like the main reporting avenue that you will see with outreach. So a majority of our customers use Salesforce as their source of truth for pulling reports and for pulling data into. So we know that every customer has their own KPIs that bring meaning to your revenue initiatives. We are part of the Salesforce App Exchange, as I mentioned before. So once you integrate with Alyce, you will get access to 3 out-of-the-box report types with even more fields accessible to create your own custom dashboards and reports. These are the kinds of report types that you can make. You can have activities with gifts used for reporting on gifts related to other activities in Salesforce. Just gifts, gifts associated with campaigns, gifts associated with contacts or leads, gifts associated to opportunities, so you can really track that ROI and see the impact of your gifting efforts on actual dollar value pipelines, how many accounts are having gifts, as well as gift history. So this is used to look at historical information on gifts, but not generally recommended for like dashboards or anything like that. It's a good just how many gifts should we send on an account or a contact basis to see the most success. So that's a really interesting report type, but wouldn't necessarily use it for dashboards. So the 3 out-of-the-box templates that we have as reports are those gift selection ready, as we showed earlier in the presentation. This is a great way to make sure that your sales team is sending gifts on time and within your set SLAs for like target activities. Gift invitation sent is another one where you can use that as a way to motivate follow-up. So all of these gift invitations have been sent, but none of them have been viewed. None of them have been accepted. Make sure that you are following up with your contacts. Here are the people to prioritize in that activity. And then you have gift invitations that are delivered, not views, which pertains to more physical gifting. So if you're sending a physical gift invitation that lands on someone's desk, this is really impactful for they've received the gift invitation, they've held it in their hand, but they haven't taken the card out and gone to their custom recipient landing page. So this report gives you visibility into which gifts are sitting on desks but haven't been opened yet. And it can also help prioritize different kinds of outreach, like calling, emailing, social selling to say like, hey, there's actually another step for you after you've gotten that physical gift invitation. There's another gift waiting for you. Make sure that you head to that link. So as like the world starts to open back up, as people are sitting in offices more than sitting in their households, we wanted to just give a quick mention to physical gift invitations, how that is a possibility and how you'll still get that same visibility into the gift status and where it falls right now in the customer lifecycle of that prospect. But of course, you don't have to stop there with those 3 custom reports. Because of the different fields that you have access to within the Salesforce integration, you can keep track of the entire funnel of your gifting, from gift options being ready, sent, delivered, viewed, accepted, and turning into pipeline. With the Salesforce integration, you can see all of this data in one holistic view to distribute across the company for visibility into your gifting programs. You can see meetings booked, you can see opportunities created, opportunities influenced, so you can see sourced and influence pipeline from here. And if you use the meeting booker within Alyce, you can always see like meetings attributed directly to Alyce. So we kind of spun through that really quick. I'm sure that there are some questions. So let's push it on over to Ash, who is the pro of all pros, to kind of go over some of the frequently asked questions that we hear and sort of how she sees gifting at a holistic level from a lot of our customers. So Ash, if you have any questions for her, by the way, feel free to throw them in the chat or in the Q&A. There are some questions that we had submitted before the webinar that I would love to get the ball rolling on. So we only covered reports that existed outside of Alyce to start. So what you can do outside of Alyce to track your ROI, track your reporting, track how your gifting programs are going. But what native reports exist in Alyce right now, and what insights do you get to see with them? Oh, you're muted.
I had everything else ready, Sarah. We did like our nice prep before. I was all ready.
I loved it.
So I'm actually just going to pull up a couple of things because I do think that sometimes these things are better to show visually.
For sure.
So I think what's important here, yes, I'm showing the dashboard. Oh, look at that. It's like very meta, loads in. So I think one of the things that sometimes folks aren't necessarily aware that is available to them is, if you've been in the Alyce Enterprise dashboard before, you obviously know that you have this high level information that gives you, meetings booked, where people are in that gifting cycle, as well as some high level conversion rates. We also have this gift invitation report where you can actually go in either at the team level, at the campaign level. So if we wanted to like maybe dive in here to see specifics on this cold prospecting door opener type of campaign, you can simply click this button and get that report emailed to you in Excel format. that can become really valuable if you are potentially looking to use Alyce in a different system for analytics. We have folks that like load this into business intelligence systems to run their reporting. If you're connected with Salesforce, this stuff will automatically come over, but if you're not running our integration, you can still load this information in. So I think it's important to know that you do have everything available to you inside the dashboard, should you choose either not to integrate, or you're in the process of integrating, or you're looking to integrate with us in the future. The other thing is in Salesforce, I'm actually going to jump right into the dashboard as well, into the instance as well. So where we were talking a little bit before about kind of like what that looks like and understanding what that workflow is going to be like from that data perspective. When a rep or somebody goes into Salesforce and takes a look at what have I, engaged with, what have I engaged this person with in the past? Is there a history of gifting? Like Sarah was saying, are there engagement patterns? As a rep, I can see those options that are available now that we've gotten research from folks or around Edna from our team, and that's being piped in directly from the integration as well. Anything else on your mind, Sarah, around reporting? I think that that's really more around the native Alyce functionality.
Yeah, love that. I think, what activities do you usually see that you should be tracking to help gauge how your gifting programs are working? Like, what are the activities both on the gifting side, but pre and post gifting, that you also see help with like tracking the success of the ROI of the gifting program itself?
Absolutely. So honestly, I think there's kind of like two areas that are really important for understanding if the program's working. And the first one is probably not going to be a new one for you all to hear, especially if you've been working with your CSM or internal teams, or if you're just starting out the process, but is really tracking that follow-up. So as Sarah was mentioning, we have some of those reports that are available out of the box that you can use. But what you really want to make sure that you're, from a manager perspective is you're wanting to make sure that, let's say we go into somebody's record, you're not seeing that there's really anything lingering there, right? Like, we're starting to engage that person. The reason why I actually wanted to show you this record was because you can actually see that gift cycle status here, right? So a lot of the gifts on Edna here, obviously this is my demo account. We've sent her a lot of things, but not being a real person, she hasn't actually looked at it. So we can actually see those actions here. And now I know as a rep, hey, it looks like Ash went in and she looked at that gift page, but she didn't take any action. She didn't, she didn't respond. She didn't decline. So that can be a good indication of that follow-up. And that's something that you can run out of Salesforce, you can run out of Outreach, and you can manage using one of the reports that actually Sarah was showing you to make sure that that follow-up is happening. The second part I would say that's really important is if you're leveraging the Salesforce integration, making sure that you're using the campaign member statuses. And why is this important? This is important because we want to understand how many folks have actually responded to your campaign. So, outside of the information that you get on that Alyce dashboard, at the end of the day, when you're looking at one campaign or you're looking up a roll-up of a bunch of campaigns in Salesforce, you can actually see, was that campaign successful or not? So if you're not leveraging the member status field, it's definitely something I would recommend to just make that tracking, pipeline attribution, all those other elements much simpler.
I love that. I think also campaign influence reports are like so impactful and so important for marketers, marketing ops, revenue operations folks, just generally speaking. So being able to see on a campaign by campaign basis, but also on like a parent campaign basis, exactly how gifting influences a buyer's journey, the sales cycle, the time to close, the average selling price, like all of those factors can be seen and have visibility into those metrics within Salesforce just by having on a campaign level these responded statuses, but also those actions being taken on the contact record as well as seeing those reports with gifts with opportunity. You can see and get insight into the exact impact that gifting has on your whole customer journey, and try and get more people into those lead stages and behavior scores to qualify to receive a gift, which is awesome.
Yes, agreed.
It's like a whole machine. Another question is, what do you think are the stages and metrics that you can track with Alyce that you can't necessarily always track with other direct mail vendors? So what is the insight that you get with Alyce versus other traditional physical direct mail?
Absolutely. So I think kind of systems removed, although you can see all of this information again in the Alyce dashboard and Salesforce, et cetera, is I think the visibility into the action. So I don't necessarily know that folks have traditionally been able to see engagement and understand, hey, did Ash open that box that landed on her desk? Or once she got that email, there wasn't really anything that I could, gauge her interest after she clicked that link. So I think that the visibility into the action is what Alyce really brings to the table. And at a high level, you can see that here in the dashboard. But again, with that information flowing into a tool like a Salesforce or even a Marketo, where you have those statuses and you understand where they are in the cycle, it just makes that flow that much simpler and much more seamless and effective.
I love that. Makes total sense. I remember doing direct mail campaigns as a marketer without having Alyce. We would have to have like a custom campaign for FollowUp that was like scripted to be like, hey, did you get the thing we sent you? Like, did you see it? Did you go
tell us?
Right. And then did you go to the landing page that we really asked you to like go to once you received that gift so that we could drive action? It was so disjointed because it was like an offline and online sort of experience that was so clunky. Whereas when it happens in a physical way, if you want, but also very seamlessly digitally, it makes everyone's lives easier. Not only the operations folks and the marketing folks to be able to see the ROI of their campaigns, but also on the recipient side where they get to just stay in one place and navigate through one experience and not have to look at the thing on their desk and then read the note and then go to this landing page and then read the landing page and then convert on the offer if they want to. That just feels a lot more complicated than having this very streamlined, integrated process that you get to track at every funnel stage, which is super exciting. All right, final question. If there are no more questions from the audience, we can wrap it up a few minutes early. But if the registrants and attendees of this webinar were to implement just one thing that we talked about today, what should that one thing be and why?
Absolutely. So I'm going to drag a slide over here. Let me get this into the tabs here. So I think what I'd like to close with is a little bit of a different version of a slide that Sarah showed earlier on in the presentation, where we were talking about the internal teams that do recipient identification and uploading and that personalization of message. I think one thing that folks don't always do is necessarily create a map of how the systems will work with that workflow. So this kind of putting together that, okay, we understand who's going to be doing what. Now we need to understand how they're going to be doing what and where they're going to be doing that. So, in this example workflow, we're going to start in Salesforce and your demand gen team is going to, identify those folks in a campaign. We're going to go through the steps in Alyce. Then we get to that follow-up stage where now we have the information, they haven't maybe taken an action. We're going to use outreach to then do that nurture and that follow-up, have that information piped back into Alyce, and then hopefully book a meeting with them or whatever those metrics are. So I think there's this element of a deeper layer to that workflow, making sure that the systems are going to work seamlessly with how you envision your program running with Alyce involved.
I love that. I think any marketing or RevOps professional who sees a program execution process like this will get giddy because the integrations and like everything will talk to each other, and they won't have to do a lot of manual work to make sure that something like this is executed and measurable. It's one thing to execute something. It's another thing to be able to measure it and to be able to see the impact of it. And I think I love this flowchart. I think it's great.
Nice part here, right at the end. Yeah. Spit out, put in recipients, spit out reporting.
I love it. Spit out results. That's the best. Amazing. Well, we finished the Q&A and the content with 5 minutes left to spare. If anyone has any questions, feel free to throw them in the session, or you can respond to our follow-up email with all the resources that we talked about in this webinar, and we will catch you on the next one. Ash, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, nice to see everyone. Take care.
Bye.